Good evening, and welcome to the Kitsap County Political Party Observer Training. My name is Regina McCray. I'm the Elections Manager. We have here Steve Gardner, who's the Public Information Officer, and Amy Epperly, who's the Election Supervisor. Paul Andrews is our Auditor, and Daryl Doggs is our Chief Deputy Auditor. So if you have any questions, you can talk to any of us. So the agenda is did the introductions, we'll do the observer guidelines, the equipment testing, process overview, random batch audit, risk limiting audit, canvassing board, and if you have any questions in the end. So the observer guidelines, all aspects of the elections process are open to the observation by political party observers and the general public. Official party observers should be appointed by the major party chairperson. And again, if you have any questions during that process, you can talk to the auditor, the chief deputy auditor, myself, the elections manager, the public information officer, or any other permanent staff member. Okay, these are things observers must not do during the ballot processing: is touch ballots, touch the ballot containers or the election equipment, and not take pictures or videos while in the processing room. You cannot disrupt the process. If you have a question, again, take it to one of the managers. And we can't divulge counts before the continuing election rate. So what can you observe while you're here? So we have 3 vote centers, one here, one in Bremerton, and one in Paulsville. And they'll be open the Saturday and the Monday before election, and 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on election night, which is November 7th. You can observe the processing room in the auditor's office. Outside of the auditor's office is a signature verification area where you can watch the signature checking. Then you can go into the ballot scanning, the tabulation room, and watch how the ballots are scanned and adjudicated. And then we do have a random batch audit that we do the day after election, just to make sure the machine count matches the hand count that we'll be doing. And then we sometimes do a risk limiting audit with the Secretary of State. We're trying to get used to that because we think somewhere down the line, we're going to have to do it eventually. So we want to hone in our skills on that. Okay, so whenever the voter's intent is not clear when we're processing ballots, we have the state, which is a statewide voter intent manual. And so if there's writing questions, marks not consistent with instructions, voter may have wrote a note. Anything that's not in the voter intent manual goes to the canvassing board for determination. And the canvassing board is the county auditor, county prosecutor, and county commissioner. Okay, ballot programming and testing. Ballot layout, programming, testing, and tabulation are completed by county staff. Software and hardware are federally and state certified. We include the hash testing of all tabulated computers and touch writers. And touch writers are electronic marking device only. They don't hold votes in there. And several days of testing and staff training prior to the logic and accuracy test, which is mandated by state. And we switched to a 2-person rule in the tab room year round. So anytime someone needs to get in the tab room, we have to have a second person to come in and scan their badge in. And we do have an optional independent third-party logic and accuracy test, which goes through the same process as what we go through to make sure the machines are counting the votes correctly. And so the parties, if they choose to do so, they would do a test ballots that are marked in a pattern that they've chosen. The matrix will show the number of precincts and splits for each contest in the election per party. The counting system report and the matrix totals are matched. And this is just to verify that there's no discrepancies between the LNA and the counting system for each party. We did that first time last year.
Yes.
So for our logic and accuracy test, which is mandated by state, we did that on October 10th, and it's online video if you want to watch that. Test ballots are marked in a pattern as required by the state. Matrix shows the number of precinct splits again for each contest in the election. The county system report and the matrix totals are matched, and any discrepancies is researched and the test is rerun because we have to have the state says is the pattern. And then that's also open for observation. So for the initial ballot processing, we're going to start on Monday, October 23rd, which will be the lead training. So all the leads are going to come in and get instructions on what they're part of helping getting the process done, as far as one will be watching the signature check area when they're signature checking. There'll be a couple floating around the floor if there's questions, or they'll be running the machine. And that way it gives us to be able to do other things while they're looking around and making sure everything is right. And the rest of the staff will come in that Tuesday, October 24th. Our working hours will be 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, or as the work allows. If we don't get a lot of ballots in between, we may say take Wednesday off and come in Thursday, or it's just how many ballots are coming in. So the staff retrieve the ballots from the post office or the drop boxes or drop boxes. So since it's a countywide election, we will go to the post office every day, and the ballot drop boxes will go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And maybe we may pick up on the bigger boxes. We may go every day just to see what it looks like at the beginning. So once the ballots come in and we scan them into the sorter, which captures your signature, and then the files are transferred into the election system, then the signatures are verified. And out of those ones that are verified, we audit at least 10% of those ballots to make sure they're catching the ones that don't match or they forgot to sign their ballot. Then ballots are sorted by precinct, group, or challenge. And challenges, again, if they forgot to sign your ballot, or maybe your husband and wife signed each other's, those are challenge ballots. And another group of people look at those. And in each tray has a ballot tracking slip. And you go through the pre-inspection. Questionable ballots go to further review, and that's just two people need to decide, okay, what's wrong with this ballot, or to make sure it goes through that whole process of further review. And then the ballot security it's always maintained. So we don't, once we take the ballot out of the envelope, we separate the envelope from the ballot, so people can't say, oh, I saw this person's ballot. Yes, Joe.
Good question.
Yes.
Say here, the signatures are verified and 10% are audited.
Yes.
Can you explain what that means or how they audit the signature?
So what we do is, let's say we have 10 batches of signatures to check. What we're going to do is they're going to signature check as they get done with the batches. Myself and a couple of other staff members are going to go back in and look at those ballots that was signature check, just to make sure they didn't miss anything. And that's our audit. And we want to continue to do that to make sure that we're not missing,
Supervised review of the acceptance of the signature.
Yes.
So far out that they know.
Yes.
Or another group.
Yes. And so we have some new people that'll be working this election. So those are the ones we will be looking at. But yeah, we just want to go through and just verify that, they are looking at the signatures correctly. Anything else?
Yes.
And so for signature verification, Washington state law gives us the rules on what we need to do to verify the signatures. All workers assigned to verify signatures receive signature verification training by the Washington State Patrol, and that's done online. And then it's about 2 hours, and they give you a little test so you can see how you do when once you're done. And so when they're looking at signatures, they're looking at the same style, the general appearance, the proportion of letters, height to width, irregular spacing, slants, and size. They look at the style, the slope, the placement, and the alignment. Some people have distinctive or unusual marks. I have a coworker that she puts a heart at the end of her name. that's just for signature. Natural variations exist, with people, and a single trait is not sufficient to validate a ballot. So if someone has an R, because, we all went to high school, and we all learned how to do R the same way, that does not say, okay, yeah, that's that person. You got to look at all of the full signature. Yes,
Another question. Do all the people go through the training every year?
yes,
At least once a year?
yes,
All training.
yes, yes, yes. Want to have expert signature takers. And so this just gives you a preview of what it looks like. So when you open up the our vote loss system, it'll tell you how many ballots right at the top is in that batch. And so there's 4 signatures up. The first signature is the envelope signature that we scanned in. And below that is the signature we had on file when they registered to vote. And so you're just going to go through, and if they're all good, you just mark it as accepted. Yeah. And if there's an issue with it, like the first one, the signature looks kind of different. So you will challenge that and you just make it as a review. And any ballots again that are challenged as far as review, it goes to a group of people up front who have more experience, and they'll go through and look at that and see if we can release that ballot because maybe they didn't see it well enough, or we'll send a letter saying, hey, your signature didn't match, you forgot to sign an envelope. We have to do that for every ballot under review. We have to do that by state law. And so you go through that, this batch has 299. You go through and then you're done, and then you'll get assigned another batch to go on from there. So once we're done signature checking, and before we sort the ballots by their precinct and consolidation, that's where the 10% audit will come in before it's actually sorted. So the batches are sorted by consolidated precincts, and that's just different areas of the county. So like CP4 is all of Bainbridge. If we had to do a recount, we could just pull all CP4s. That will cover Bainbridge. Batches are assigned a tracking number. Election workers check out the batches, and the ballots and secrecy sleeves are separated from the return envelope. Ballots are reviewed to determine if they're ready to scan or if they require further review. An example of further review, again, is damaged ballots, pencil marks, corrections, overvotes, whiteout, stray marks, barcode issues. Those are the things that would go to further review because we need 2 people to make that determination that, okay, this is what the issue is. So when they're opening, they're just looking at to make sure the ballot can go through the scanner. Anything that's not needs to go to further review. Ballot duplication. So any ballot that cannot be scanned by the tabulation system. So sometimes when people are marking their ballot, they'll mark it to where maybe the pen will go up into the barcode. Well, the machine can't read that barcode because now it's been altered. So 2 people would have to duplicate that ballot. And so an audit log is kept of all the duplicated ballots. The audit number and the worker initials are recorded on both ballots, the torn ballot or ballot that needs to be duplicated and the new ballot that they duplicate. So both the number 1 is going to be on both ballots, and both signatures are initials from the 2 people who actually duplicated the ballot, and then the persons that audited the ballots. And then again, the 2 teams will audit all the duplicated ballots, and they'll keep track of. They'll actually have a sheet that says, okay, we are looking at this batch number and we made the changes on those, or we verified that those ballots were correct. So for our drop boxes, we have 26 drop boxes throughout the county, and they're opening today, or they're open today. We have 1 new box at the Olala Bay Market and Landing. The Danville box was moved to Buck Lake County Park because they were having issues like when it rained and It's messing with the box, but they're going to be salt from it. It's causing a problem, so we moved it to the county park. Bainbridge has a newer, bigger box. because- And so this is new. So the Jenny Wright drop box, because the school district is selling that building, we're gonna move that one between the YMCA and the sheriff's office in Silverdale. So there's a spot that we found a perfect spot. Amy found a perfect spot to put that box. So that's gonna be nice for people going to the Y or, just in and out. So that'll be really nice.
About that offline.
Okay. Okay, so on the ballot drop boxes, each box has a special key to lock and unlock. Teams of 2, sometimes 3, will go out and pick up the ballots every other day. Election night, we'll have 26 teams of 2 to 3 people to pick up the ballots. Seals will read void after being removed so that we can tell if someone tried to access the box. And we also have trackers that monitor the boxes. So each daily team has a tracker in the elections van, so we could go online and see like where that van is. If we got into an accident, we would know exactly where that van is to go, so get someone to go pick up those ballots. And then trackers will be in the ballot boxes on election night. Again, so we can monitor the pickup team as they leave from here and as they leave the drop box back here. That's a good monitoring system for us. Yes,
Leave the trackers in the ballot boxes, or they in the boxes of ballots you bring back.
they're in the box of ballots that we bring back. Yeah, there's 2. There's one in the box, in the ballot box, and then there's one that comes back with the ballots.
Okay, so it's actually 2 then, one stays,
Mhm.
if
Yes,
someone gets in there and takes a bunch of papers out, you'll know that.
Yes.
that they're
yes,
missing the box.
yes, because,
A tractor for watching a person in an accident does go back to the ballot box.
yes, and so, yeah, and so, if so, we know when the teams are out, so if it was weird, if someone's out there messing with the box, we would be able to know that, so.
Okay, you know that.
Yes. And so for return stats, starting Monday, by 5 o'clock, Steve will update the ballot totals, and the return statistics include only the accepted number of ballots. Okay, and then we'll start our reporting on election night, usually about 8:15, we usually get our first results up. And then subsequent results are posted to the website by 5 each day, each weekday, unless otherwise stated. Like I said, if we're not working a Wednesday, then there would be no posting. And then the random audit. So we're required by law to perform a random audit of our tabulation system. We randomly select 6 batches from those ready to scan on election day. And a single race is then randomly selected. We don't have any countywide races, so it'll be selected from some of the districts that are on the ballot. The random batch, they're scanned into the computer system and secured separate from all the other batches with the total of what those 6 batches results are. And then usually the next day, the state says you have 48 hours to do the random batch, but we usually do it the day after election. We'll do a hand recount of those ballots to verify the hand count matches what the computer said that the total should be. And so far, we've been perfect. And then there's the RLA, the risk limiting audit. And this is an option at this point, but we are pretty sure the state's gonna mandate for us to do the risk limiting audit. And that just, it gets down to the box that the ballot is in and go down 48 and find this ballot to verify that that vote was counted correctly. So we've done in once, twice. And so we want to get in the habit of just always doing it. Maybe doing it general, just always doing it just so we can get it and understand it. Sure. Prosecuting attorney and the auditor. Or they can designate someone if they're not gonna be here. And you're the only entity with the authority to reject a ballot. We can mark it as review. And then if we still can't get information back from the voter, the canvassing board is the only one that can say this ballot cannot be counted. We can't do that in the office. We don't have that authority. So they determine if the challenge ballot can count, and then they'll certify the final election results. And our canvassing board will meet November 27th to go over all the ballots, and November 28th at 9, or both be at 9 and here to certify the election. And if we have any recounts, they'll set the date for any recounts that we may have. And we could have some, we have smaller districts with not a lot of voters. So depending on how people vote, I think the last few years we've had like 4 recounts just because the contest was so close because the districts are small. And so for recounts, only after the election is certified, you can do a machine recount if the difference is less than 2,000 votes and a half of 1%. A manual recount is the difference less than a quarter of 1%, and local races less than 150 votes, statewide votes less than 1,000. And for a written request, no later than 2 days after certification, if someone wants to have a recount. So 2 days after certification, they have to let us know, according to the RCW rules. Write-ins, yes.
I was hearing like in King County, they're one of the servers failed during the county and scanning the ballots. So they just fired up another server and continued. They were supposed to do the audits and all the other things, and they didn't do it. So my question ties into recounts. So if the King County auditor failed to properly follow state law in certifying the equipment for use, which he apparently did because he did certify it and didn't do the audit with the new server that was tallying the votes. Who calls for a recount because of the numbers could be off? And who would pay for that? Obviously, there's no specific, well, a person, one of the people that had a close race could call for it, but then he had to pay for it. But the problem was caused because the county didn't follow the rules and they should have stopped scanning in until they recertified the new server and did the LNA testing of the new server and then say, okay, it's working correct, then start scanning ballots. So my question is, do you know who actually has to pay for the recount if the state, I guess the state didn't, or the counties didn't actually follow the rules?
I
Yeah,
don't.
that's sort of a question up there, but it's still kind of hacked over King County. What are they gonna do? There's some lawyers, they're all going like this, of course, and no one wants to pay for it because it's all over, the inspection's all certified. But what are you gonna do to prevent reoccurrence? Is this gonna be normal? That, man, machine fails out, bypass and not follow any of the rules and we just continue on, or is he gonna penalize some and say, hey, you got fined $1,000 if you did stop scanning? So, and then should you have your recount also because you scanned 1,000 ballots with an uncertified piece of equipment? So
See, I don't know.
I don't know who actually would pay for that. It shouldn't be people running for office. I would think if the county screws up and didn't properly certify their equipment.
Yeah, I don't. So for us,
So you don't know. Apparently no one knows. That's why it's all up in the air what they even should do.
because
And the judge,
when we do our LNA, we test all of our equipment to make sure.
they test all this too, but then when they tested broke, and then it went to the backup people, so you didn't test.
Oh, yeah, I have no idea about
Yeah,
that.
that's sort of funny.
Hmm.
Okay.
We would have to look into that.
Yeah, we would have to, because I have no idea, but
They're still trying to figure out the answer too. I thought you might have
no, I haven't heard that.
heard of that and had it
Yeah.
happen before. We're so small, it doesn't
Yeah.
really happen here.
Oh,
King
interesting.
County is a lot of ballots to process.
Yes, they do process a lot of ballots.
Okay, I was wondering if you do.
I don't know. That's a good question, though. Okay, for write-ins, so person must file a declaration to have votes tallied for a race. All write-in votes declared or not are grouped together for initial results. Only if there's enough total write-in votes in a race to change the apparent outcome will the election officials begin a tally for the declared candidate. If there are enough total write-in votes, then final tabulation will display each individual tally for the declared candidates. There's not enough total write-in votes to overcome the apparent winner. In ballot or individual tallies will not occur. Years ago, we had to tally every write-in, whether they were real or not. And now the state has gone in and said, no, only if it's going to make a difference in a race. Just nice. Oh, there you go. Do you have any other questions?
That, that offline question about maybe you can look at that markup for your new facility, maybe it's got the address on the new facility.
We can look it up. Amy, can you look
I
that up?
find one line and I couldn't find it. Then my other question, what was, you said you're moving the collection box from the Genie Wright facility to where you're putting it?
There's a parking lot that's between the sheriff between the sheriff and
sheriff's
Warren
office
Street,
area.
yeah. So you can
Okay.
come in through the sheriff's parking lot and go through this space before you get to the Y parking lot. It's a little spot. You can just drop your ballot in
Your
there.
question is, do you know when they're going to be tearing down those buildings and
Jenny Wright?
underpass for the stream under the street? They're gonna actually turn the street instead of a culvert, they're gonna make a bridge. So the salmon can get under the street better. Now, that costs about $40 million or something to widen it for a natural stream going underneath the street, which is going to be very expensive, but I don't know when you're going to do that. They've been talking about this for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
For the Jenny Wright building?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be after we move our.
Well, you're very helpful.
Yeah, no, we're going to move the box after this election.
Yeah, I was wondering,
Yeah.
because I asked, because I'm part of the levy team for the schools, sent kids out. And I said, well, when are you gonna move the people out of Genie Wright? They said, they don't know. Because half of them have already moved up to Partner Creek, and then the other half, we're gonna move somewhere, over to the offices above the new library by the new high school.
Okay.
And then, so once that takes place, they didn't know. But you seem to know, you're already moving.
We're moving
collection
because we
box.
know.
Maybe it's getting close, that's why I was asking the question. So
Yeah.
Stuff and publish it, or when they
No.
start
No, we just know that,
being aggressive and digging up the streets.
yeah, no, we just know that they are looking to sell that building. And we always want to try to be on public property. So that's why we're just gonna, after this election, we're going to get that box
I guess the
moved.
gym is outside of the area. That's a nice gym. That's previously refurbished, good gym.
Mm.
But the buildings are, the other ones are pretty old.
Yeah,
And so they'll be tearing down the buildings in those little salon on the left-hand side. The opposite side of Gene Wright, tearing down that salon.
Oh, okay.
That owns on top of the creek flows.
interesting. Very interesting.
But
Yeah.
I told the gym's gonna stay. At least that gives you community.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, we just know that they're looking to sell it and we just want to get out of there before. That way people will get used to it.
Yeah.
They'll get used to it before the presidential election comes about. So, yeah. Yeah. There you go. You can drop it off here. So, yeah. So ballots went to the post office yesterday. My ballot's in the mail today. So we're in the election. So we're excited.